A mile-high thriller on Saturday night. The Buffs and Ducks go the full 40 minutes, but despite a gutsy effort by Oregon, it's Colorado with the benefit of a controversial call that was the difference. In Salt Lake, the Beavers rebounded from a lackluster performance with a dominating effort in the paint against the Utes. In Berkeley, the Bears responded to being knocked out of first place on Thursday by roughing up the Devils. In Pullman, the Cougs suffered a power outage down the stretch, and UCLA took full advantage. On Montlake, the Dogs tried to send the Trojans to yet another conference defeat. In Palo Alto, two offensively challenged teams went at it, but it was the Wildcats leaving Maples on a high. At Matt Knight, the Duck women say thank goodness for Amanda Johnson. And at Gill, the Beavers march to their fourth straight win. The madness is beginning to crank up as we enter the final month of the regular season, but this edition of Inside the Pack is ready to roll right now.
Racing it up the floor. For the win, we'll go over. No! A foul was called on Singler. Whoa, a foul was called on Singler.
A back-and-forth affair winds up going to the home team as Oregon leaves Boulder with an empty feeling. Hello and welcome to this first February edition of Inside the Pack. I'm Tom Ward, and never more glad to be back in the Pacific Northwest. Nick Krupke survived a blizzard, lived to tell about it, and then you had to survive a game last night with a very controversial ending, to say the least.
Yeah, it feels tropical here, about 14 degrees when I got to the airport in Denver this morning. But for Oregon, boy, what a headache they got to be feeling, though, coming back home, because this is a game where you heard the announcers there during the live telecast go, hey, we're going to overtime. That's what you thought.
Yeah.
Great defensive play by EJ. Still think it was. In the air, he's trying to avoid contact, hand on ball. Some would say, nice play, let's go play some OT. The refs, after some crazy. It seemed like a long time to make that call. They're going to go to the line. They go to the monitor. Dana obviously not too happy about that. And
more on that play as the show goes along, to be sure. One thing to point out, though, Oregon played great defense in the first half, held Utah to 0 for 8 shooting from the three there in that first half. After halftime, Buffalo's got it cranked up from beyond the arc, 5 for 10, looking like they were getting into more of a groove shooting the basketball. Oregon State, meanwhile, goes into Salt Lake City and really just does what they're supposed to do, takes care of business. They shot 56% in the second half.
And that came off Thursday's game where I thought they pretty much gave up. They're down 15. Next thing you know, it's 22, and kind of socked it in about 10 or 12 minutes to go. But, yeah, you go to Utah, you take care of business, and you've won 4 out of 5 if you're Oregon State. You're feeling pretty good. Got the Cougs and the Huskies coming into town this week.
And both coming home with road splits, so nothing to be ashamed of right there. After arriving in Colorado more than 12 hours after they expected to, the Ducks waited out the storm to play just their third game ever in Boulder, the last time coming in December of '83. The Ducks stepping into the thin air of the Coors Event Center at elevation, and Oregon and CU entered Saturday in a three-way tie, part of that three-way tie for second in the Pac-12. The officials would play a big role in this one. It was a big night for Olu Ashalu. The jam as he drives and throws it down puts Oregon up 21-16 in the first. Then another big body doing work for the Ducks, Tony Woods. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Woods follows his own shot and the foul. 37-33 Ducks at the break. Second half, here comes DeVoe Joseph. One of his 3 triples. He had a team-high 18. Ducks up 7, and then more from Olu. A jam session where the Buffaloes roam, the one-handed hammer, and then off the skip pass from EJ Singler, Olu with the reverse. 55-53 Oregon. Then Oregon clogging the passing lanes. Woods pokes it away. Joseph starts the break. Jonathan Lloyd to the rack and one. 57-53 Oregon. Back come the Buffs. Carlin Brown taking it coast to coast to the basket strong. 67-64 Colorado. The Ducks hanging tough in the thin air. Joseph with the tough layup cuts the lead to 1, 67-66. Under a minute to go. Spencer Dinwiddie spot up 3. He knocks that down. 16 points for Dinwiddie. 70-66 Buffs. Ducks didn't blink though. Garrett Sim in a bit of trouble. Out to Lloyd, who buries the huge triple. Make it 70-69. Now 71-69. Lloyd gets the ball on the outlet and takes it right to the hoop. Got to attack the rim late. Dishes to Olu. Hoop in the arm. Maybe should have been a no call. 7 seconds left. We're tied at 71. Ashalu goes to the line, but he misses it. The Buffaloes scramble, and they get the rebound. And then here comes Nate Tomlinson. He goes coast to coast into the lane, into Singler. Looks like a clean block, but a foul is called with just one tick left. As we take another look, now Dana Altman none too happy about the call. The refs also take another look, and they determine to put 1 second back on the clock. So Tomlinson sinks the first free throw as Dana continues to work on Bruce Hicks, the lead official. Tomlinson goes to the line. First one is good. And then, of course, you know what's coming after this. The second one off the mark intentionally. A last-second heave is no good. And Dana makes a quick exit. You never see him do this. Indeed, a tough pill to swallow for Oregon. 72-71 the final. The Buffaloes remain unbeaten at home in conference play, 7-0. Ducks dropped to 4-2 on the road in the Pac-12. Singler called for that controversial foul at the end, went for 13 points and 13 boards.
Yeah, terrible way to end it, but a great game it was. Tied 10 times, lead changed 15 times. Joseph led the Ducks with 18. Isaiah Booker paced the Buffaloes with 17. So the loss, of course, in Boulder, very crushing, but the Ducks still have the most road wins in the conference at 4-2. Wouldn't be an Into the Pack show if we didn't rave about the bigs. Tony Woods, only 1 block in Boulder, but that one probably worth 2. He leads the league, 37 blocks, just 5 off the Oregon single-season record there of Blair Rasmussen. Tony, one of 3 standout transfers, of course, the Ducks have. DeVoe and Olu Ashalu working hard for the Ducks. 12 offensive boards. The Buffs only 4 on the night. Ducks 1 on the glass, 37-32. Olu 17 points, 9 boards, 2 steals in 27 minutes. The downfall from him, though, of course, the 1 of 6 from the line. And the Buffs then reclaim the lead, about 10 minutes to play, some big transition buckets, and that goaltending call +1. Colorado at 14 fast break points to the Ducks 5. You can't hang your head for too long because now you got the first place Washington Huskies coming into town on Thursday, and then you can go back on the road again, probably the toughest road trip down to the Bay Area still before you got the Civil War one more time. So again, as we talked about last week in the Civil War, not all is lost for Oregon, but this is a tough one to kind of come back from.
No, I mean, you always try to get that road split in the Pac-12, and let's be honest, Oregon right now at 4-2 on the road in conference, not bad at all. They only have 3 more road games down the stretch. Colorado, meanwhile, has to go on the road for more games than they have. I mean,
they've close things out here before the conference tournament.
Right, they've been living off the home schedule, and we'll talk more about the end of the game as this show goes along. But Colorado certainly, they're going to have to come to Oregon the Thursday of that final weekend of the regular season.
That was the best atmosphere we've seen so far on the road. Outside of Arizona.
Great game.
Duck fans got to set things up back here in March when they come here because that place was rowdy and raucous, a sellout crowd.
All right, after losing by 22 points to Colorado on Thursday, the Beaver men headed to Utah in somewhat despair. But with a win against the Utes, Oregon State could stay in the middle of the pack. A loss, though, would make them the victims of yet another road sweep. Utah's 2 Pac-12 wins this season have come at home at the Huntsman Center. And we go right to the first half. Jared Cunningham showing that his banged-up knee is just fine. Kisses it off the glass. The bank puts the Beavers up 20-15. A little later, after one of Joe Burton's career-high 6 steals, Devon Collier slams it home, part of a 13-0 run by the Beavers. Burton filled up the box score in this one along with the steals. He had 8 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. Watch this nifty move. Up and under reverse gives Oregon State the 12-point lead. We go to the second half. The Utes trying to stick around. Dijon Farr looking for that gray poupon. The dunk puts the lead up to 9, but Cunningham was not going home a loser. Burton finds him down low, lays that in for 2 of his game-high 20, and then at the other end, the Beavers with 23 points off 23 turnovers, and Oregon State pulls out the Rocky Mountain road split, 76-58. The Beavers shot 46% from the field despite going 0 for 9 from 3. It was a lot easier for OSU in the paint, 50 points in the paint and 16 steals.
Along those same lines, the Beavers 16 fast break points compared to the 4 for the Utes, and a great line for Burton, 8 points, 11 boards, 6 steals, 5 assists for the big guys. The Beavers salvaged that road split after getting run off the floor in Boulder, and the win over the Utes has Jared Cunningham's fingerprints all over it. This one started with the Beavers getting their main weapon, Jared Cunningham, going early. When the kid from the East Bay gets that jumper going, you got to look out because you know what's coming next. The Beavers had a great time sharing the ball. 13 assists on 29 field goals. Actually a low for them, but Cunningham was everywhere, and you know that 1-3-1 was going to work against a team like the Utes, and it worked very well. Oregon State, 23 points off 23 turnovers, 50 points again in the paint, and Kevin McShane came off the bench, provide some intangibles. The offensive board and putback. Career-high 7 points for McShane for the senior, and the Beavers kept attacking the rack too. Good to see Chale Barton making the most of his minutes. And then the nice feed to Collier from Chale is Oregon State never let off the gas. And you want to talk again about Joe Burton's day being seemingly everywhere. Saw it in the highlights, saw it there in the breakdown as a career-high 6 steals for Joe, 8 points, 11 boards, and again, those 5 assists. And he's one of those kind of guys who's had an up-and-down career, up-and-down season, as a few of the Beavers have. But you looked at a couple weeks ago when they were really, really struggling. They've won 4 out of 5.
Right.
They seem to be...
And they only have 2 conference road games
right,
left because they host the Civil War on the back end.
A much better-looking team that we thought they would be coming into the conference season outside of that slow start. But they got a ways to go, but 4 out of 5, pretty darn good.
Despite the wild finish, the Ducks were able to get the road split and now head for the final stretch of the regular season with a favorable schedule in front of them. Still to come on ITP. We'll go back to Boulder for more with Oregon as a subdued Dana Altman seemed determined to try and avoid the wrath of Pac-12.
Your thoughts on the end there?
It's part of the game. They're all tough. None of them easy. So.
Questionable call at the end and kind of seals it.
Yeah.
Plus, the OSU women were looking for their 4th straight win, and they put this one away early. And as always, lots more Beavers, Ducks, and the rest of the Pac-12 online all the time at our website, InsideThePac.com. We are back after this. The Oregon women jumped out to a 23-5 lead on Utah on Thursday and led by as many as 19 in the second half before the Utes rallied to cut the lead to 1. The Ducks did hold on for the win, but were disappointed with how they finished that game. How would Oregon fare against Colorado on Saturday? And athletic guard Chucky Jeffrey, our first look in person at Chucky. First half, it wasn't Jeffrey doing the damage. 9 offensive rebounds led to 8 second chance points for CU. They get the putback right there. Buffs up by 11. Then later off the steal, Brittany Wilson hits the transition jumper. She had 6. The Buffs had a 34-26 lead at the break. Oregon finished off an 18-0 run with 11 straight after halftime, though, to come roaring back. Ariel Thomas out in front, lays in 2 of her 13. The Ducks up 39-34 in the second half belonged to Amanda Johnson. She jukes and pops the 3. 3 of 6 from downtown, and then another 3, and the Ducks survive 67-62 after trailing 34-21 with a $1:30 left in the first half. Oregon outscored Colorado 39-14 over the next 17 minutes to take a 60-48 lead.
AJ, 23 of her game-high 26 in the second half to lead them. Jazzy Holiday, a solid performance too. 11 points, 8 boards, 5 blocks.
I wasn't really getting a lot of looks, and I wasn't converting the looks that I did get. Then somebody pushed me, and I fell and hit my head, and I decided I wanted to play. So I kind of went off.
And thank goodness for Amanda Johnson. Back in timely fashion.
You bet. Oregon shot over 95% from the charity stripe in the second half, 21-22 to put that thing away.
Last season, the Beaver women won 2 conference games. Now, as they got set to host Utah, Oregon State had already won 5 this year, including 3 in a row. Fresh off signing day, football coach Mike Riley checking out the Beavers and Utes. Oregon State jumped out to an 8-0 lead first half. Alicia Marchbanks steals the ball and goes the distance, and Alicia Marchbanks was just getting started. She scored 16 of her career high, 22 in the first half, gets the and one. Beavers up 24-11, but right before the half, the Utes close the gap. Michelle Plouffe hits the long 2, cuts the OSU lead to just 4. The Beavers, though, started the second half on a 15-3 run. Patricia Bright lays it in. OSU goes on to win 62-49. Oregon State's first 4-game conference winning streak since 2001, and the Beavers' first sweep in 2 seasons. Marchbanks with that 22 points. She also added 10 boards.
Patricia Bright continues to lead the conference in blocks. She had 7 to go with 8 points and 5 rebounds.
I'm just really happy with the way we're competing every possession. I think we're putting, 40-minute games together now, which was not the case. And I think we have the talent, obviously, this year to be able to compete like that.
I don't know, the first basket just went in, then I got a steal, and so, I don't know, baskets was coming easy. And Coach, all week long, he said, if I get a rebound, I can go. And so when I got the ball, I just went.
Number 4, Stanford with an easy time of it at Arizona, 91-51. 5 Cardinal in double figures, led by Jocelyn Tinkle, who had a double-double, 22 points and 11 boards. Stanford shot 50% for the game.
Cal got by Arizona State 67-62. Brittany Boyd, 19 points and a school record, tying 10 steals, 6 assists, 6 rebounds as Cal rallied from a 6-minute second half drought.
UCLA blew out Washington State 73-52. The Bruins outscored the Fighting Dohertys 44-24 in the second half. Markel Walker, a triple-double, 14 points, 15 rebounds, 10 assists. Still to come on Inside the Pack. We'll head north as the Huskies look to stay all alone in first around the conference in men's action when we return.
Defeat.
Headed down the home stretch, the Duck men will only play 3 games away from Matthew Knight Arena the rest of the regular season. Still to come on Inside. More from the Ducks in Boulder as E.J. Singler and company never got the chance to see overtime.
I felt like I did the right thing, and the kid made a good play.
Well, the Ducks are still in the thick of the race in the Pac-12, but also right in the midst of the most difficult part of their schedule. Even though the biggest call of the game went in favor of the Buffs, the Ducks can say they can only blame themselves while still owning the best road record in the conference.
We felt like we made some bad turnovers in the second half that really sparked them and got them back into the game, got their kind of groove going. So that's kind of been our thing lately. When we've been losing games, it's just been on us. We've been making too many careless mistakes. So again, it was us.
It's a tough stretch. You know, we got Washington State at home, then we got to go to Cal, Stanford, Oregon State. So got a lot of tough ball games coming up.
All right, the hot question this week, the play everyone's talking about. Did the Ducks and E.J. Singler get jobbed by the officials down the stretch in Boulder?
It was an eerie feeling right when it happened. I think the fans, even there, a sold-out crowd, thought, okay, we're going to overtime. This game should go to overtime. And then, wait a minute, okay, we're going to confer about this. And then he's going to go to the line, and they're going to put time back on the clock. And remember, when they made that call, red lights on, it's zeros.
And that's my biggest problem with this call. I don't have a problem with the foul in its most basic form.
Right.
Yes, the guy forces the issue. He makes the official. He puts it on the official to call it. Here's the problem I have with it, though. You don't see the official raise his arm, nor does he blow the whistle until he, number one, sees if the ball went in.
Right.
And number two, the game is over. The red light has come on and the horn has sounded. The game is over at that point. This isn't the NBA. This isn't decide later if you want to call the foul or not.
There was a lot of questionable calls in the game, and really the majority of those went in Oregon's favor, except Olu play right before that.
Play right before that. That shouldn't have been a foul either. I thought it was a sloppily officiated game down the stretch of the second half, because in the first half they let a lot go, and then they completely changed the way they were calling the game in the second half.
You got to swallow that whistle when you're at a game like this with the importance, because now Oregon is 2 games out of first. They would have been right, and they're still in the mix, but they would have been even better. That's a big call to make.
Well, they got the Washington schools coming to the Willamette Valley, as we know, and then they got Colorado still to come, and that's going to be an anticipated game. As we mentioned, Washington schools coming to the Willamette Valley next week. The Duck and Beaver women teams head north. For Nick Krupke, I'm Tom Ward. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching Inside the Pack.